So this is I already talked about the orcas that comes following the herring into the fjords of Norway quite a lot. But this time I'm going to talk about the guy who follows the orcas, of course also the herring. But in Norway this is quite a unique situation at the moment. We have the humpbacks. They are basically following, the humpback whales are following the orcas into the fjords. And then of course normally anywhere else in the world the orcas and the humpbacks doesn't go very well together. So basically the humpbacks try to avoid the orcas. But here in Norway there is a unique situation where actually you find that the humpbacks, they are following the orcas and even exploiting the orcas, because when the orcas are hunting, as I talked about later, they're following the herring and they try to make the herring to very tight bait balls, so it's easy for them to do the tail slapping that the orcas in Norway do, which is only this carousel feeding, which is unique for the Norwegian orcas. So, but this, of course, when they are on deeper water, the humpbacks have learned this, and when they just waiting for the orcas to basically made this bait ball, and then the humpbacks comes up from the deep and steal the fish from the orcas. So while the orcas are feeding on one herring, then of course the humpbacks, they are doing this lunge feeding where they open the wide mouth full open, maybe 40,000-50,000 liters of water in one gulp, and then of course also a lot of herring they get in there. So the orcas have a little bit of a problem, because the humpbacks comes and 2 or 3 of these gulp lunge feeding and the whole bait ball is gone, and the orcas have to start all over again to work hard again to make a bait ball. There's also another technique when there are more shallow waters that is what you're going to see in this movie, and it was quite an amazing experience. I basically had room for myself and almost didn't fit a humpback underneath me. When you see you have a big shoal of herring in front of you blocking the view, and suddenly the whole thing opens up, and then what you look at is straight in the face of a humpback, and you wonder if he sees you or not. But of course they see you, they have full control. And this humpback, this is filmed with 8mm fisheye, and you can imagine how close I was. Actually, when the humpback was going under me the first time, I just had to take up my arms and even my belly not to touch it. And if I would reach out my arm, I would have touched the tail, and I was just waiting for the tail to actually hit me. But of course the humpback, he knows I'm there. So just when he passed me, he stopped doing any movement with the tail fluke, and yeah, so he didn't hit me, but it was maybe 20-30, yeah, something like that, 30-40 centimeters away from me when he was closing, when the tail was passing me. So quite an extraordinary experience. And of course he did that a couple of times. He made this, I think it was 4 times he had them coming like that, and the one time I actually filmed it, you see here in the video, he actually has to take in his side flipper because he doesn't want to hit me with his side flipper, so he actually put his side flipper down along his body not to hit me. And so it's very gentle whales, even they are big. They do have some ways of detecting us, and of course they know that we are much more fragile, and they don't want to hit us. So it's quite unique. People say that whales are intelligent. I don't know about that, but at least I understand something, that they don't want to hit us because we are much more fragile, and we can't hit, even if there's a small hit for them that maybe be a playful or just a friendly bump into the shoulder, that can be lethal to us. So that is also something we always think about when we're going water with these big whales. It's always a risk involved to it, but in my mind the risk is very, very small. So when you're snorkeling with orcas or humpbacks, orcas are of course also predators, so you never know. But there's a little bit like being in the water with sharks. If they decide to take you, you have absolutely no chance, but normally they don't do that, and that risk is so small, and it's in my mind worth taking, because it's the experience and the reward when things go right, it's super nice. So I hope you enjoy this short clip of the humpback whales feeding and following the orcas around.